Okay, hello everyone. Let's start with the government audit part first in relation to audit of different entities. Audit of different entities is a big chapter, and that is why I'll be covering the revision video in several parts. Okay, so let's go ahead first with the government audit part. Let's see this. Now, what are the duties of CAG, Comptroller Auditor General of India, is to compile and submit the accounts of the union government and the state government, and to ensure that the accounts of the various treasuries, offices, or departments of the government are taken care of. Second is to ensure that the expenditure is legally disbursed. So basically, whatever expenditure is done from the government side, it is legally disbursed. Means the various authorities working in the government are permitting it, and only then the expenditure is done. So conform to the authorities which governs it. Example, for road building, suppose a authority is assigned to us to ensure that this highway is made, whether that authority has given the permission or not, sanctioned or not. Next is any contingency fund and public accounts the CNDG should check. And finally, the trading, manufacturing, and P&L and balance sheet of the various government organizations, the CNDG should check. Example, if suppose there's a government company, then the government company will have its own profit and loss account and balance sheet, which the CNDG should check. Next, we have regarding the receipts and expenditure. So here they have said from the consolidated fund of India, when you are giving, let's say, minimum 25 lakhs and 75% of total expenditure to any body or authority. What they mean to say is, whenever any loan or grant is given to any body or authority, and for that body or authority, it is a minimum 25 lakhs we have given, and that accounts for 75% of their total expenditure, 75% of their total expenditure, then you will call this body or authority as substantially financed. You will call this body authority as substantially financed. Okay. Next, receipts. Whenever the money comes into the consolidated fund of India, let's say from the taxation, from tax money. So whether the money has been received as per rules and procedures, whether collection and allocation of the revenue is done properly. And finally, we have to examine the accounts. Examination of accounts is very, very important. Next is regarding grants and loans. Whether any grants and loans, when they are given, whether it is given for a specific purpose, we have to scrutinize the procedures. Sanctioning authority should be satisfied that this loan is important to be given. And finally, right of access after giving a reasonable public notice. So basically, only after proper access is given, only after we are informing the authorities and informing the other persons. Okay. Next, you have the audit of the government companies. In that, you have two parts. That is your subsequent auditor of the government company, and this is your first auditor of the government company. So that appointment of the auditor is done by CAG, as you know very well. This you must have also done in the audit and auditors chapter of company law. Then after that, you have plus he will direct such auditor regarding how the audit should be done, and that auditor should submit a copy of the report to Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Finally, you have audit of stores and inventory. That is, stores and inventory basically means if any government department is there having certain inventory, then the inventory should be kept in any office or a department of the union or state. Okay. Now, what are the powers of CAG? The powers of CAG are very simple. Remember the code called SECO. SECO is nothing but the you have to ensure that the accounts are sent and the accounts are there with the Comptroller Auditor General of India. So the accounts are prepared also by them. So at the various departments that they have, then the CAG also has a power to inspect Office of Accounts, and finally, the CAG has a power to question and also observe the functioning of the departments working under CAG. Okay, let's go further. That is in relation to this area. Let's keep an eye on the expenditure part now. So you can see here the audit against rules and orders is one part. So this is one. Audit of sanctions is 2. Audit against provision of funds is 3. Propriety audit is 4. And performance audit is 5. Okay. Let's see this first. Audit against rules and orders. They have given the first category here. That is power to incur and sanction. Second is a mode of claim presentation in the court of law. Next is contingent funds. And finally, the condition of pay for the government employees. Next in relation to examination to see that. So the examination has to be done to see what first is whether the competent authority has given the approval or not, whether a higher authority orders and rules are followed or not, whether constitution or any other law which is there in place, whether that is complied or not, and finally requirements of CAG in respect of accounts and audit is maintained by the company properly or not. Next is the audit of sanctions. Any sanction that is given for any government related work, whether any general or special order of the competent authority is passed, and whether it is passed properly and by the competent authority means the proper authority. Okay. Then audit against provision of funds. They have written here it should not exceed the appropriation made. So whatever provision you have made and whatever money you have transferred, the provision should always be more and the transfer of money can be lesser than that, but never should it happen that you have kept less provision and but the requirement was more. That should not be the case. Okay. Next is a very important part called proprietary audit. Proprietary audit, again, the principles here, in my opinion, very, very important. Mark proprietary audit as star, very, very important. Okay. So what are the principles of proprietary audit? First of all, if the SCAG sees that if the payment has been done more than the occasion demands, then that is incorrect. So in proprietary audit, the auditor has to be careful to see whether if any particular situation is there. Let's say government is conducting a function. For that function, they can either they can spend get the function done in, let's say, 2 lakh rupees, or they can also get the function done in 2 crore rupees, but the same function. So if it can be done in 2 lakhs, you have to ensure that public money is saved and you should not spend more than the occasion demands. Second, you should treat the money as if it is your own money. It should not be for any of the government employees' advantage. It should not be for the benefit of any particular person, except in the case of CAPing, which I'll show you in just some time. After that, you have the authority should ensure that wasteful expenditure is not done. Okay, sir, what is this particular person or section of the community? It should not be used for that, and then they're given the exception. Why is that? Because here you can see that there is a point which I'll just show you once again. You can see here. Public money should not be utilized for the benefit of any particular person or section of the community unless first they have said that if it is enforced by any court of law. Second, if the amount is insignificant, this insignificant is connected, the amount if it is insignificant. Second is if it is a case of any allowances, traveling allowances granted to meet expenditure of a particular type, then in that case you can favor a person if it is part of the regulations. And finally, P is if it is part of any policy or custom. So CIAPing is CIAP and ing is just written in small just for the code. Okay, that is basically this. Okay, let's go further. Now the next area is the audit of sorry, once again. Next is in relation to performance audit. And performance audit, you will see here that in performance audit you should check the whether the work has been done with efficiency, economy, and effectiveness. Plus, you have to examine the financial and operational performance, whether it is done properly or not. Very, very important. Okay. Let's go further. Let's enter the next area called as audit of receipts. So audit of receipts, the audit provides for. So when your receipts means when the money is coming in, you should first see whether money is coming in as per proper regulation and procedures. Whether the money which is coming in, whether the regulation is actually followed in relation to receipt of money. That is called whether the work is actually carried out or not. Next is whether the amount is correctly assessed, how much money should come, whether it has come or not in the government's treasury, that is basically from the tax money. Next, if there is any detection of or taking the money but not giving to the required department, or and if investigation is required, then the investigation also can be looked into. And finally, if the internal procedures are adequate, very, very important that the governments are running with a mindset of non-corruption. That is very important, that is internal procedures should be adequate. Next is audit of you have stores and inventory here. Stores and inventory, very, very important. It should be properly sanctioned, whether it is as per the contract and whether the quality and the quantity is properly checked. Next is everything should be economical. Economical means the expenditure should be done at reasonable limits. And if it is uneconomical, it will be uneconomical. If it is defective, it means you have to rerun the production and the cost will increase. Or if the product is of inferior quality, again the cost will increase because inferior quality product will not be accepted. So you will be forced to make goods with superior quality. Finally, audit of commercial accounts, they have given here that commercial account basically means three things, that is DSG, departmental enterprises of the government, statutory bodies and corporations of the government, and of course the government companies which are there. They are the three separate departments that they have distinguished this into. Okay. Now this completes our government audit part. There is a small part which I want you all to have a look, and that is in relation to this part here. That is audit of government companies divided into 143.5, 143.6, and 143.7. 143.5 is appointment of auditor by CAG, that is 139 subsequent 5 and 7, that is appointment of subsequent auditor in the case of government companies here, appointment of first auditor of the government companies here. C&DG will give them directions, and finally he will submit the report to CAG. And he'll has to, the CAG can mention, can give directions and action that is required to be taken thereon, and the impact on the accounts that it creates, that the CAG has to look into. Next is 143 subsection number 6, that is CAG's right to. They are given 2 points here, that is conduct supplementary audit. So CAG can conduct supplementary audit under 143.6 and comment upon or supplement such audit report. Okay. Finally, 143.7 is CAG may by an order cause test audit. Test audit basically means that if he wants to check a certain area, the CAG can um, request an auditor or tell an auditor to check that particular area, test audit part. Okay, that completes your government audit area. Okay, a simple part. I'm calling this as part one of different entities. Different entities is a huge area, so I'll divide into separate parts, and we'll do it separately. Separately means I'll not create too many parts for ease of seeing, but government audit I feel should be done separately. Okay, okay. I wish you all the best. Study well. Take care. Bye.